So in this opener, we're going all the way back to first triad, the stuff we were doing first triad, to solve equations. There's two things I want to do before I solve any equation. What are those two things? So the two things that I want to do before I solve the equation are just reminders to ourselves about what we need to do when we're solving the equation. The first one is circling the variable. So we're going to circle the variable as a reminder that we want to get that variable by itself. So like when I'm doing the first one, I'm going to circle the a because that reminds me I want to get the a by itself. And then I'm also going to draw a line through the equal sign. Okay, this is called the line of equality. It does a couple of things for us. It reminds us that whatever we do on one side of that line, we have to do on the other. That's the golden rule. Whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other. It also helps us keep the left side and the right side of the equation separate and keep things organized. So as we go through solving an equation, our equal signs are going to be on that line of equality. If you end up with an equal sign that's not on the line, then it's in the wrong place. All right, so those two things, circling the variable and drawing the line of equality, are things that we're going to be checking when you're solving these equations. This triad, we're going to be getting into solving more complicated equations, and these are going to be important to help with your organization. All right, so let's do that first one together. I want to get the a by itself, so I circle that. I draw my line of equality. And so to get the a by itself, what am I going to have to get rid of?
-3.
That's -3. How am I going to get rid of that -3?
Divide.
By dividing, right? So the operation that's being used here with the a is multiplication. So the inverse operation, the opposite operation that's going to get rid of it, is division. So we're going to divide. So then the question is, what do we divide by? -3. Okay, since this is a times -3, we need to get rid of that -3. We're going to divide by -3. So we divide by -3 on the left side to get rid of that -3. Now, if I do something on the left side, I have to do it on the right side. So over on the right side, I'm going to divide by -3. We have to do the same thing on both sides. All right, so on the left side, those -3s are going to cancel each other out. And what does that leave? A, all by itself. Equal sign goes on the line. And then on the right side, what's a positive 12 divided by a -3? -4. And since we have a by itself, we have everything simplified. We are finished. Put a box around it. All right, in that second equation, again, we're going to start by circling the variable that we want to get by itself. We want to solve for b, so we circle that. We draw our line through our equal sign. And to get b by itself, we have to get rid of the -2. Now, what operation is being used in this equation right now? B divided by -2, right? So that's division. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So on the left side, to get rid of that -2, we're going to multiply by -2. All right, since we're trying to get rid of it divided by -2, we multiply by -2. All right, so we multiply by -2 on the left side. And then if we multiply by -2 on the left, we have to do it on the right. Do the same thing. So we're going to multiply by -2 on the right. So on the left side, those -2's cancel, and what does that leave? B, all by itself. Equal sign goes on the line. And on the right side, we have -4 times -2 is positive or negative? Positive. A negative times a negative is positive, so we get positive 8. All right, next one, we want to get the c by itself. So we're going to circle that. We'll draw our line of equality. And we need to get rid of that 25 to get c by itself. So how do I get rid of this 25? Yeah, so this is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So we're going to add 25. And we add 25. Got to do it on both sides. On the left side, the -25 and the +25 cancel out because that's 0. So it's gone. So what does that leave us?
C.
Just the c. And then on the right side, we're going to add this here. You could use your calculator. Let's do it without, though. What's 5 plus 7 in that ones place? 12. And then we carry the 1, so 1 plus 5 plus 2, 8. And then in the hundreds place, there's just a 1 there. So we get c equals 182. All right, last one. We want to get the d by itself. So we're going to circle that, draw our line of equality, and we have to get rid of the 127. How are we going to do that? subtract. So plus 127, the opposite is subtracting 127. So minus 127. Got to do it on both sides. And on the left side, those cancel each other out. That leaves D all by itself. On the right side, can I subtract them the way they are? Do 7 minus 7, 4 minus 2, 0 minus 1. We have a problem here. What's the problem? If we were going to do this without a calculator, what would be the problem here? We have the bigger number on the bottom here. When we subtract, you always have to put the bigger number on top. You have to do the bigger number minus the smaller number, even if the bigger number is the number you're subtracting. So if we want to do this one by hand, we're going to have to put the 127 on top. You could do it with your calculator. That would be okay. But it would be a good idea to be able to do this by hand just to check, because sometimes we type things in wrong. So if we put the 127 on top and the 47 on the bottom, don't forget the 127 was the negative one. We'll need that later. Then we can subtract it that way. So what's 7 minus 7? 0. What's 2 minus 4?
2.
2 minus 4 is 2? We're going to have to borrow, right? 2 is smaller than 4, so we can't subtract it, so we're going to borrow. So what we get is a 12 there and nothing left in the hundreds place. So what's 12 minus 4? 8. Now, is that going to be a positive 80 or a negative 80?
Negative.
Why is it negative? Because the bigger number was negative. So since the number we were subtracting is bigger, that's going to give us a negative answer. So we'll take our answer there and put it up here. And that's our final answer, so put a box around it. Okay, again, I want you guys to notice, these are just one-step equations. We only have to do one thing to get the variable by itself. But once we get the variable by itself, we have the equal sign on the line of equality. We simplify the other side, and then that's going to be your answer. All right. Again, these equations are going to start getting more complicated. We're going to see some this week that we don't have one step, but maybe 2 or 3 steps. And so keeping it organized is going to be really important for us.